Hey, as some of you may know, English is not in fact my first language. As a born and bred Mexican, I grew up learning Spanish. Spanish is my mother tongue, but since I was like 8 years old, I have been learning the lingua franca of the 20th and 21st century, English. However, those two are not the only languages I speak. I in fact have a third language I can say I am mostly comfortable in, German. But unlike with Spanish that I have the credentials of being a native speaker, and with English that I recently did a TOEFL and scored 647 points, which is C1 in the CEFR, I didn't have such thing with German, despite having been learning it since 2018, a good while now, and well, I decided that needed to change. So, short version of it, and if you're watching either the short or the reel, this is all you're gonna get. I did a German B1 test at the Goethe-Institut in Mexico City, and it turned out, well, I don't know. They said the results were going to be available in 10 days tops, and the test took place on Wednesday the 15th of October, day of recording. It's only been 2 working days since I did the exam. Today is Sunday. This is a Sunday sunset. I still don't know. I'm gonna have to wait. But I feel comfortable enough. I feel like I might just be already a certified B1 German speaker. This is all you're gonna get. If you wanna watch the full thing, if you wanna know the details of how it was, the whole experience of the exam, and the full backstory of how my learning German has been, you're gonna have to watch the full video, link in the description and in the bio. So if you're watching this, you're either watching the full video or you decided to click on the full video. Now let's start from the beginning, shall we? Winds howling. So, starting from the beginning, why German of all languages? Well, it has pretty much everything to do with this. Everything has to do with Bayern Munchen, FC Bayern Munchen, the team I started supporting over a decade ago. And, well, as you may know, sports is a way to know the country's culture. And the culture, well, it's mostly defined by the language. After all, the language which we speak shapes how we think. Our brains are literally coded in the language we first learn. So in my case, Spanish. In many of you guys' cases, English or German or whatever, the point stands. Your native language is the way in which your brain works. So when I first discovered Bayern Munchen, that was my gate to German culture. Then, of course, it was the Mannschaft, the national team, and well, it just happened to coincide with the year they became world champions, humiliating Brazil. I think they still shake at the sound of 7-1. But yeah, it had most to do with Bayern Munchen that I first got an interest for German and for Germany as a whole. However, that was not an instant thing. As I said, it was like 10 years ago that I really started supporting Bayern Munchen. And as I said earlier in the intro, I only started learning German proper back in 2018. So like 5 years later from when I started supporting Bayern. So why was it that in 2018, oh my fuck. Winds howling. So why was 2018 the year I finally started learning German? Well, it happened that my high school program had 2 years of French at the very end, so the second and the third year. And the tryhard in me figured, well, if I'm gonna learn a new language, why not learn 2? That approach had mostly to do with, sorry that I was being pricked. That approach had mostly to do with me not liking French. I don't like really France. I much rather learn German. I'm more of a German guy, go figure, BayernMunchen. But yeah, I figured if I'm gonna learn a new language, why not learn two? Why not learn another one that I actually care about? And so the little tryhard in me took the challenge. So yeah, I started learning French and German at the same time in August 2018. Long story short, my plan was to study German for a couple of years until the end of my high school, and for that time to have learned enough to go study a bachelor's in Germany. That plan was, looking back, a little batshit insane, but that was the goal, and we had it pretty nailed down by that time. But as you may have noticed by the dates I've been given, my end of high school coincided with the start or the first 6 months of 2020. As I'm sure you're familiar, 2020 saw the world freezing down. It was a total paralysis of anything involving migration, travel, and so weiter. So that plan had to be shelved pretty much. The next year, after I graduated, I took a sabbatical, and as some of you may know from the people who follow me from way back when, I started a YouTube channel and a Twitch. The YouTube channel is linked very inconspicuously at the bottom of the description if you feel like watching it. It's in Spanish and it's probably very much improvable upon, but I did it, and well, that was the year I did not study. That was my sabbatical. So by the start of 2021, I realized, well, mostly my mom made me realize, I had to do something else. And thus I started a new bachelor's, a completely different one from the original plan. And, well, I finished it. It ran from 2021 to 2025, August to June. And it was in 3 arts, some of which I've already posted to this channel. Obviously, the link is going to be in the description too, but you can see it is only my second short in this channel. So I learned a new area of expertise, one I didn't really know I liked or I would be any good at, but I did, and I was. Hey, so quick change of sets. It was getting too dark and too windy where we were, and well, here we are now, back in the home studio. And I was going to say, I, for one, didn't really stop learning German. My cell phone has not changed language since 2018. I have kept my cell phone set in German so that I can continuously soak in vocabulary and just help myself in coding my brain to German with literal day-to-day activities. So that was something I never really stopped doing. And by the end of last year, like September, October, exactly like a year ago of 2024, I realized, with me finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of the bachelor's, that maybe my plan of studying in Germany could be, unshelved. And so I started easing myself back into the dynamic of learning German. How, you may ask? Duolingo. Yeah, I started a Duolingo streak with first High Valyrian, because Game of Thrones, I'm a big nerd. You might have noticed by my latest short and my 3D portfolio, if you've ever visited, it's mostly medieval stuff. I really dig that vibe. Anyway, after a couple of months of learning High Valyrian in Duolingo, I jumped back into German and have been doing the program. I, in fact, finished all the courses like a couple of weeks ago. I have nothing else to do. Duolingo says it cannot teach me any more German. I'm just in practicing weak skills, daily refresh of activities to practice weak skills or what Duolingo thinks I can improve upon. And yeah, that ran for my last year of the bachelor's, which coincided with a huge project I undertook. My senior thesis, as a soon-to-be graduate of 3D Arts, I did a huge project which you can see in my 3D portfolio, wink wink, link in the description. I have documented most of the work I did. It was an individual 3D short film, and yeah, I do recommend you go see it. But Fast forwarding to the end of my bachelor's, June 2025, I finally got a bit more free time, and having had almost a full year of refreshing German through Duolingo, listening to music, watching the occasional video in German. Huge shout out to TrKz. The original channel has German name TrKz, which is like the explanation or the German short word for in a nutshell. That's also the channel subtitle. But they do have a German-only channel, Dinge erklärt, or Things Explained. And now we arrive at October 2025. I first booked the exam in like August, but the first of the earliest date available for a B1 test was October the 15th. I do hope you enjoy the montage I'm going to show you. I probably spent too much time editing it. Tag 1.
Sie können eine Ausbildung beginnen oder studieren. Ohne
Tag 2.
su paraguas, sí. Con su paraguas.
Tag 3.
Tú llegas ahí, a mí como me lo manejaban en casa, era una semana.
La zona GNP.
Hey, so how was it, huh? Cool, I bet. So, let's talk about the exam proper. The experience, as I probably put in the title, the B1 Deutsch Experience, oder die B1 Deutsch Erfahrung. As I probably pointed out in the montage, we arrived at Mexico City on Tuesday the 14th, and we were fortunate enough to have my uncles Beto, Lorena, Charlie, and Janet to drive us around the city, to pick us up from the bus station, and, well, to just, yeah, as I said, drive us around to anywhere we needed. Mexico City is a chaos best navigated by its inhabitants. You could have probably guessed I was quite annoyed at the traffic in Mexico City because it is batshit insane. The amount of cars any given time going anywhere, pretty much. But yeah, that's just a pretty complaint of a small city boy like me. You saw the views of the earlier set. That's literally like 10 minutes from my house. I guess you can understand why I despise a little bit of those huge cities. But yeah, we arrived the day before at like 8-9 p.m. We had some dinner and I went to sleep early, or at least I tried to sleep early. I probably stayed awake like 1 a.m. Just stressing out, trying to get some more practice in through YouTube videos. I discovered very good channels, very good like history to go to sleep, but in German to, you know, unconsciously soak in more of the language and vocabulary and so on. And the day of the exam, we had to wake up quite early because the school itself didn't seem to be too far to me, but the traffic, oh my god. Anyway, we made it in time. We had to be at the school 8:30 in the morning. The exam began at 9 a.m. The first module was lesson or reading comprehension, and it was quite good, I guess. I'd say I did well enough. As I said, I didn't really know the results. I can only go by gut feeling, and I'd say I did good. Next was Hören or listening comprehension, and it was also good, I guess. The only hard part was we couldn't listen twice to most of the exercises, especially the one that had like 3 multiple choice answers, and we could only listen to it once, about a chocolate factory in Austria. Yeah, that one was wicked. third module and second to last was writing, oder schreiben. That one was relatively chill, I'd say. We had an hour to write 3 texts, 2 of which were emails. Germans do seem to love their emails as a practice to learning the correct way to address someone, formal or informal, depending on your relationship. And yeah, I'd say I also did quite good in that. The only caveat I would say is my handwriting. My mom is a doctor, so it's literally in my veins to not be able to write any comprehensible characters. It's not my fault. It's literally in my blood. It's in my genes. I cannot write a legible letter to save my life. After those 3 modules, I had a bit of a break between the end of writing and the starting of my last module, which was sprechen, or speaking. As you may have guessed or have experienced yourself, this part is probably the most stressful of a language test because, well, it is the hardest part. Trying to speak freely in a language you're not truly comfortable with can be nerve-wracking, and I can say that was the part where I felt the most stressed, nervous, like on the top of my fucking. I'd say I did well enough. As I said, I don't know for sure how well I did, but I say I did good enough to probably pass B1. We'll see. I'll be sure to post you guys on the news if and when I pass. But yeah, that was the exam proper. The 4 modules of Lesen, Hören, Schreiben and Sprechen, after all of which I just happily returned to my great-grandmother's house and had a big old nap. Like, after an hour of driving back home, I put some video in the background, in German of course, and fell asleep. I literally just woke up for dinner and went back to sleeping, and the day after, Thursday 16th, I woke up in a normal hour, had a great breakfast, slept, took a nap again, and after having waken up from that nap at like 2 in the afternoon, we went straight to the bus station to, well, come back home. So, final statements. How is learning German as a whole? Well, I'd say if you're a native Spanish speaker, it's gonna be a little bit harder if you try to bridge your Spanish to German. There's really no connection, either vocabulary-wise or in grammar, in Grammatik. There's really no connection either in grammar or in vocabulary to ease you into making comparisons and, linking things together in your brain. However, if you are a good English speaker, it might be way easier, as it was for me. That's obviously because there is a, language connection between German and English, both being Germanic languages. This connection can be most visible in vocabulary, the basic vocabulary, like Apfel, apple, Ball, Fuß, foot, those kind of very basic words, as well as in some of the grammatic structures, the verbs. And yeah, so I'd say it's quite easier to learn if you can bridge it from English rather than from Spanish, if you all are a native speaker of Spanish like I was. Und ja, es wäre eine große Phrase, wenn ich nicht ein bisschen Deutsch in diesem Video spreche. Also hier geht es. FC Bayern, Stern des Südens, du wirst niemals runtergehen, weil wir in guten wie in schlechten Zeiten zueinander stehen. FC Bayern, deutscher Meister, ja so heißt es mein Verein, ja so war es und so ist es und so wird das immer sein. That is of course the Stern des Südens song from FC Bayern. You can imagine it's one of the first things I learned in German. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Let me know if you like this new format. It's definitely a new experience for me, from recording it to how I'm gonna be editing it. I don't usually blog and I don't usually record outdoors. This part specifically is gonna probably make the video quality be a little bit inconsistent in terms of video and sound, especially because it was very windy outside today. But do let me know. I'm gonna probably, if this works, I'm gonna do more videos like this. I like the more variety approach to this new channel. My last one was pretty much entirely gaming and some pop culture in between there, but I really want to diversify in terms of the topics I cover, especially since I now have a new horizon. I've broadened my horizons after my major, so I have a little bit more credentials to talk about more stuff, and I'm more informed just in general. And yeah, well, do be sure to follow me in my ArtStation. This is where I upload pretty much everything related to my 3D productions. You can see a lot of posts labeled as Willem's Quest. That's the name of my senior thesis project, of which I talked to you about earlier. And yeah, do make sure to check it out. And here's also the reel I uploaded. It's here. It's also here, the reel about Ice, the Valyrian Steel Greatsword of House Stark. And that would be pretty much it. Do make sure to like, subscribe for more videos. Tell me what you thought about the format, about the content, about anything. And be seeing you, lads. Thank you for watching, and till the next one. Hey, so editing trucks right here. Turns out I was just about to finish editing this entire video. I was gonna do the last pass where I often check for caption mistakes and that kind of stuff, and I received this. Turns out the results have come in, and guess what? Turns out I am a certified B1 German speaker. See? The passing score was 60 in all 4 categories. I passed. Right about passed each and every one of them. So, yeah, nice surprise. Nice surprise at the end of this project. And yeah, I am a certified B1 speaker of German. Yeah.